trees and knitting gloves. Some people don't like New Year's. December 31st's the night they dread. They may be blowing on noisemakers, but they're all a bunch of fakers, 'cause they'd rather all be home asleep in bed. But nobody don't like Christmas.
Hello and welcome to the Weekly Stuff podcast with Jonathan Lack.
And Sean Chapman.
We are here on Christmas to talk about Christmas stuff for the 4th annual Weekly Stuff Christmas special. 3 years ago, it was the Pokemon Christmas Bash album, which I made you listen to, and we talked about it. That was weird. 2 years ago, it was the Evangelical Christmas Carol play I found that we performed, you talking like Arthur from Red Dead Redemption 2. That is one of my favorite podcasts ever.
It is indeed, my friend.
Last year, we reviewed Batman Returns as part of our Batman on Film series because really nothing says Christmas more like penguin sex jokes.
Yep.
And this year, Sean, we've already recorded it. You're going to hear it now. It's a Weekly Suit Gundam Christmas crossover as I make you read Gundam Christmas fanfic with me. Sean, do you want to give the kids a preview of what they have to enjoy on today's Christmas special?
Oh, we get such lovely tales as Duo Maxwell sending Christmas presents to Hiro Yui from Gundam Wing over the course of seemingly years in some sort of weird unrequited romance that is maybe potentially somewhat requited at the end of the story. We've got multiple different takes on the Christmas Carol using such casts as Gundam Wing and G Gundam, and also we find out something about that damn reindeer who just doesn't want to let people in Gundam SEED and SEED Destiny make out under mistletoe.
Honestly, even if you do not listen to Weekly Suit Gundam normally, you might want to listen to this Christmas episode because it is very weird and it does my goal that I have every year, which is confusing Sean and making him probably have to go, walk around the block a couple times, just clearing his head.
It does feel like, one day, eventually, and a sad day will come with that will be the last podcast we ever record, Jonathan. And I suspect it will be, eventually you will have pushed the Weekly Suit Christmas special thing, or the Weekly Stuff, whatever the fuck we call these things now. You will have pushed it so far that there's no way to come back from it. And eventually there will be an episode that is the Christmas special that destroyed everything. It's not yet, but we're getting closer every single time.
Well, let's get really close today. Please enjoy. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, one and all. And this is our present to you, a Gundam Christmas special.
God fuck us, everyone.
Gundam, show!
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!
Hello and welcome to Weekly Suit Gundam, a special bonus podcast brought to you by the folks at the Weekly Stuff Podcast. I am Sean Chapman.
And I'm Jonathan Lack.
And we are here for an extra special episode because I don't know if you can hear the sleigh bells ringing outside, but it is Christmas here at Weekly Suit Gundam. We're here with a very special Christmas episode of the show. So special, in fact, Jonathan, that I don't even know what we're doing.
Well, Sean, do you want to tell the listeners briefly, if maybe they haven't listened to our parent show, the Weekly Stuff podcast, that we have a rich tradition of surprise Christmas specials on this show that I think it was finally time to bring to the Gundam side of things. Do you want to tell us about the Christmas specials we've done in the past?
Yes, I mean, you're a weird person, Jonathan, so you like to do this thing of just every time we do Christmas. It's like your version of a Christmas present to me is I've come up with a weird podcast, or you came up with your podcast idea, and then you give it to me on the fly after we started recording, and we've done things like you've played me songs from the Pokemon Christmas album, which is a thing that exists.
Pokemon Christmas Bash, great Christmas special, yep.
Pokemon Christmas Bash. I think by far the most memorable and the most insane thing we've ever done on a podcast is you found a Christian, community theater version of A Christmas Carol, but that's in a Wild West styled setting, and we did a full on-air read-through of the entire script of said Wild West Christian Community Theater version of A Christmas Carol as a podcast with us playing all the different characters, and it is the most insane thing I've ever done in my entire life.
It was pretty fun, yeah. Last year's Christmas special, I could not figure out how to top the Christmas Carol idea. So we reviewed Batman Returns, and we had that for our Christmas episode, which I think was good. Batman Returns is a jolly fun Christmas movie with lots of Yeah.
So much fun, just lots of, Christmas-styled sexual euphemisms, as, you get in the holiday season. It's a great, great, good old time.
But this year's Christmas special, I had the idea for days after the last Christmas recording, which was the Batman Returns one. And I kept a link open on my phone for like a good 6 months before I had the idea of finally just bookmark it on my desktop. So I could remember that we would come back to it at Christmas. Which is, Sean, my idea is combining, two of our favorite things at this show, which is our Gundam podcasts and our stupid Christmas podcasts. There's been more of the Gundam ones, stupid Christmas ones. But let's combine those, peanut butter and jelly, because I did a random Google search about a year ago. Is there Gundam Christmas fanfic? There is.
You guys, I want to make it clear, the word that made me sigh in that sentence was the word fanfic. Because, Gundam Christmas, I'm like, oh, that sounds exciting. Fanfic. Oh, okay. There's good fanfics out there. I wonder if there are good Gundam Christmas fanfics out there.
Would you like to find out with me, Sean?
I mean, no, but you're going to make me to anyways.
All right, Sean, I have found... I worked through a lot of these, and I have narrowed it down to... I have a set here. We're probably not going to read all of these, certainly not all in their entirety, but I have a collection of ones that we can do. Looking through, most Gundam fan fiction is Gundam Wing, at least in English. I was not looking at Japanese fan fiction. But as you can imagine, most Gundam fan fiction is Gundam Wing. There's some Gundam SEED fan fiction. Sean, would you like to start with a Gundam Wing or a Gundam SEED Christmas fanfic?
Well, let's go in chronological order, Jonathan. Gundam Wing came first. So let's start with what is Hiro Yui doing in the holiday season is the question I've never asked myself. So let's answer it right now.
Let's answer it right now. Sean, the one I have here, this is from a author named Sunhawk, who has a website. It's a blog that's very old at this point, where he had a bunch of Gundam Wing fanfic. And I found one. I don't think we're going to read this whole thing because it's fairly long. But what amused me about his Gundam, he had a bunch of Gundam Christmas fanfics. This one is written, I think, from the perspective...
Can we stop? Just, what? How is this? He had a bunch of Gundam Christmas fanfics.
Yes.
How is that a sentence you can say about any person on the fucking planet? That is a completely insane grouping of words. You can't just say that and move on. We have to revel for a moment at the absurdity of the notion of a Gundam Christmas-themed fucking fanfic.
And I'm going to show you some of his others, at least in part, because they're very amusing. The one I picked for us to do at least a little bit of a reading of is amusing to me because I have my note on here is it's Gundam Wing Christmas '09, note to self, Blade Runner style. What I mean by that is this is written in what I can only describe as the voice of Harrison Ford's narration in Blade Runner. Not, obviously, the director's cut that got rid of the narration, but the original theatrical Blade Runner. Do you know what I mean, Sean?
Yes.
So, if you would do us the honors, this is from the perspective, I believe, of Duo Maxwell, and he's talking about the other Gundam boys. You don't actually get the name Duo until near the end of the story, so I had to do it by process of elimination from the other Gundam boys to figure out which one this was, but I believe it's Duo. But Sean, I would like you to start, and do your best Harrison Ford Blade Runner impression as you read some of Sunhawk's one-shorts, Gundam Wing, Christmas 2009.
When big deal things like wars are over, you sort of expect something beyond the round of parties and award ceremonies. You sort of expect things to change. But it's funny how after the last of the confetti is swept up and the politicians all trot off to figure out how they can spin things to support their own agendas, all you have left is a bunch of people standing around in an awkward silence. You suddenly realize that those people you've been calling partner and buddy and comrade, you realize you don't even know their real names. Hell, half of us didn't know our own real names, so maybe it shouldn't have mattered. But in the end, we all just sort of mumbled something appropriate and wandered off the stage in our own separate directions. There were some obvious choices there. Quattro had a big deal family to go back to take charge of, and Troa had that gig with the kitty cats and the tights. Wufe, the Preventers had his number before the guy finished wiping Gundam dust off his hands. What is Gundam dust? I ended up trying that whole L2 thing again, and Hiro had apparently heard the phrase walkabout in there somewhere and just up and took off. It was weird and kind of inevitable all at the same time. Not like we'd known each other since kindergarten or anything. I made some effort to stay in touch, made the rounds every now and again, as best I could, but nothing much ever came of it. Until that loon Barton escaped whatever psych ward he should have been locked up in and trotted out his little red-headed protege and shook Hiro Yui back out of the woodwork. Second time around, realizing the odds were decent he'd just up and vanish again, I made more of an effort early on. I actually got an address from the guy and everything. We're a weird little bunch, when you get right down to it. Not exactly the Scooby Gang or the Brady Bunch. These are references that this character should be able to be making. What the fuck?
That is why this is on here. This, apparently in the world of Gundam Wing, they have Scooby-Doo and the Brady Bunch. I did not know that.
And Duo Maxwell, big fan.
Yeah.
Anyways, not exactly the Scooby Gang or the Brady Bunch or whatever your cultural reference of choice is. Not a damn lot in common, really. There's only so much reminiscence you can do about that time on the moon or that time you blew up my Gundam. But still, there was an undeniable connection there.
Oh my god, do you want to take a pause, Sean?
Yeah, we gotta stop. What the fuck? There's only so much reminiscence you can do about, quote, that time on the moon or, quote, that time you blew up my Gundam. I feel like there's a lot of reminiscence you can do about when you were on the fucking moon together or when someone blew up your giant robot. Like, you know, it's not the most, like, blasé thing to have in your life.
Yeah. Do you like that how fucking slow this is? Just basically recapping the plots of Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz through weird noir narration?
Yeah, I've yet to get to, like, the Christmas, the Christmasness of it.
So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I do have to say, Sean, if you will scroll down to the paragraph that says Hero Now, this is when he's describing all of the characters. I do need you to read this one because this has more inexplicable cultural references.
Okay, so Hero Now. Okay.
It's just a little farther down, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Hero Now, he was a bit of a puzzle. He'd been MIA or for something like a year, and I hadn't had the same opportunity to build any kind of comfort zone with him. Was he still consumed with guilt over that pacifist thing, or had he really put it behind him with that psycho, here's a gun, have at routine he'd pulled? Was he lost, floundering, a secret double agent for the FBI, a closet Doris Day groupie? I had no idea. And while I would have loved to know all there was to know about the mysterious Mr. Spandex, I have to confess, I was a little nervous about scaring him off again, especially since I wasn't really positive just what sent the guy into the recesses of Never Never Land in the first place.
All right, we got the FBI in Gundam, apparently. That feels like an oversight. Doris Day, she'd be very dead. Mr. Spandex, all of this. I do think if you're going to be doing your fanfic, maybe think a little bit about what references you're going to put in.
Yeah, there's you know, like, the fictional world building and setting is very important to any Gundam series, and the notion of, like, the Scooby-Doo or the FBI existing. Like, what is the FBI doing in the world of Gundam Wing? Like, where are those guys at? What like, crimes are they investigating while, like, autonomous robots are fighting and, like, colonies are going to get dropped on the fucking planet Earth?
Yeah, so the next couple paragraphs, we get vaguely yaoi here in that I think he wants to fuck Hero, but I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, you have to imagine that most Gundam Wing fanfics would get to that point eventually.
Yeah, I mean, here, I'll read this next part, Sean. I'll also admit to a bit of difficulty being objective in his case while I'm in the confessional box here. Whole lot easier to stand back and psychoanalyze the ex-teammates that I wasn't carrying the emotional torch for, if you know what I mean. Oh, we know what you mean, Duo. Too easy for a vague fantasy about him spending that year wishing that I'd come after him and sweep him off his feet to color my perceptions. So I tried to keep my pining to myself and just forge a quiet sort of connection, while I made sure I didn't pressure him so much that he decided Never Never Land was a better place to stay. There we go. This is the fanfic we want, right, Sean? Duo wants to fuck Hero.
Yes.
All right. So
I mean, Duo and Hero is like a bad pair, you know, like I wouldn't, you know, it's Hero and Troa, obviously. Yeah, I guess Duo and Quattro. I don't know. I just kind of, I don't think I would really put Duo in my fanfic, honestly. I mean, he's the best character of the Gundam boys in Gundam Wing, but in many ways that makes him the least appealing one to put into a fanfic.
So how about you start reading again from the paragraph that starts, time just sort of slipped along like that. It's just a couple paragraphs down.
It's very. I actually found this because I just Control F'd the word Christmas because I was just curious. If you want to know, Jonathan, it shows up 20 times if you ignore the title of the paragraph, and this is the first time the word Christmas will show up. So.
Well, then let's find out what is Christmassy about Gundam Christmas 2009.
Time just sort of slipped along like that. Amazing, really, how fast the months go by. But I did have a life to tend to. Not like I spent all my waking moments playing cheap therapist to my war buddies. I owned half a salvage yard that boasted 20 full-time employees, after all. It was good I had not grown up having a lot of time to spare. Made it easier not to miss it. I think the first Christmas that came and went after the Marie Maya uprising, I sent Hiro an e-card and made time to give him a call on Christmas Day. Not like I figured the holiday meant huge amounts to a guy with vaguely Japanese heritage, but it still sucked to be alone when everybody around you was not. Both were received well. In fact, I got an e-card in return with penguins and Santa hats. That was pretty funny. The cards became a tradition at every random holiday after that. You can find the things for every occasion, from the big ones like Christmas to the truly obscure ones like Hug Your Goldfish Day. Sometimes I tossed off a real-world card too, just to strengthen that tie and maybe point out that he had my address too. I'm not real sure when the little gift thing started. I think he said something in an email about it being cold in Brussels. Hilda had been knitting scarves for a local charity group, and I got her to make me one in a nice tank top green. It was almost a joke, but not quite, all at the same time.
Sorry. This is what we want, right? This is the good stuff.
I want to back up to the not like I figured the holiday meant huge amounts to a guy with vaguely Japanese heritage.
Yeah, that came out of left field.
There's a lot to grapple with. Christmas that does exist in Japan. It's been, not as huge a holiday as it is in America in a consumerist sense. But it's a fucking thing in Japan. It has been since well before Gundam Wing.
Yeah, KFC has had very real success bringing Christmas to Japan.
Yeah.
Look that up
also,
if you don't.
Does Hiro Yui have vaguely Japanese heritage? Like, is that even true of the character?
I don't think so. Yui, that doesn't really sound Japanese to me. I don't know.
And it's not even his real name regardless.
No. No. Yeah. No, that seems wrong. Hug Your Goldfish Day is I guess in this universe is a holiday in the Gundam universe.
Is Hug Your Goldfish Day a real day in the real world? It is not. I'm disappointed.
All right. I got a tiny little stuffed groundhog on the next Groundhog's Day. There was a joke about the weather that I've forgotten, but the thing sits on my computer at the office all the same. So wait, so Hiro Yui is sending him gifts and even sent him a card with penguins in it? I don't think Hiro Yui would do that. That seems off. That seems like wish fulfillment to me.
Yeah, there is a real sense of, like, what has happened to them is that, like, all the Gundam boys seem to have become, like, very kind of, like, middling office workers who just sort of sit at computers and do, a day job and, like, occasionally send, like, greetings cards to the other Gundam, like, traumatized war boys that fucking saved the planet, It's a very kind of blasé existence once you grow up from being a Gundam boy.
So why don't you take on this next part? I take a lot of crap from Hilda. Who is Hilda, by the way?
I think that's like the kind of Duo's girlfriend-esque character. If you remember from about the midpoint of the show, she gets introduced.
Right. I'm going to be honest. No, I don't remember. But that's fine. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's basically his girlfriend who, like, helps him on the colony that they're on. This is getting good, so please pick up from here. Okay. I take a lot of crap from Hilda about the shipping cost to send junk dirtside. Girls don't seem to get the weird joys of guy gifting. Anyway, it went on like that until Christmas. That anyway does a lot of fucking work going for the weird joys of guy gifting.
Sean, anyway, we know it, Sean, the weird joys of guy gifting. Every guy says that.
The Weird Joys of Guy Gifting is my favorite feel-good, romance novel. It's
a great Nancy Meyers movie.
Yeah, it's we've got, like, women have the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, boys have the Weird Joys of Guy Gifting. It is what it is. Anyway, it went on like that until Christmas. And somehow it wasn't just a gag gift that got boxed up and mailed off. Stuff that seemed perfect for Hiro just sort of kept accumulating. And Christmas seemed to be enough of a big deal holiday that I could kind of get away with sending it. A book I thought he'd like, a knit hat that Hilda had ended up making too much, the aforementioned scarf, a box of sweets of the kind I'd seen him indulge in at one of the after-war parties. I want to see Hiro Yui indulging in sweets at an after-war party. That is the fanfic you should be writing. Hell, I don't even remember what all, but it was neatly wrapped and carefully packed, and sent off at an exorbitant cost to be there in time for the holidays. I imagined him opening the stuff on Christmas Day, sitting in his apartment, and maybe even thinking of me fondly, or at least bemusedly. Either way, I guess, as long as he wasn't marking the day all alone and forgotten. I'm not much of a one for the holiday myself, but the rest of the world makes such a big deal out of it that it's hard to just ignore it completely. Okay, Duo. Okay.
Okay, he goes on and on about his presence with Hiro. Frankly, there's just a lot of stuff going on here. He's sad. He wants Hiro to not feel lonely. All of that. He keeps quoting other holidays that they send gifts for, like Kick a Can Day, and apparently that's a day. And there was another one down here that was good. Wright Brothers Day. I guess the Wright brothers are a part of Gundam. I mean, if the Wright brothers are a part of Gundam, I think we need a Wright brothers Gundam. Like, what is the Gundam that like is inspired by the Wright brothers' original plane? I feel like an actual Gundam show would give us that if the Wright brothers were a part of the history of Gundam.
I want a Gundam that is made out of wood and leather, and that's it. And it would be fucking cool.
Yeah. I think on some level I'd harbored a fear that Hiro would someday get bit by the wandering bug again, and would just vanish like he had the first time. I suppose I'd hoped that my friendship would be enough to keep him from just disappearing without a word, but who knew for sure? And how strong was a friendship that was mostly virtual anyway? Sure, we saw each other in the flesh every once in a while. Relina would get a wild hair about once a year and throw one of her parties. That's Relina Darlane for you, Sean.
Uh-huh.
But that was hardly where ironclad friendships were forged. Okay, goes on and on. Christmas, they're traveling. I am trying to find another part where actual plot happens, but I don't know if any of that does. I can edit this down, don't worry.
Madness.
This is madness. He's looking for Hiro out in the world, and now he's worried that Hiro was depressed and might have killed himself. This took a real turn. Yeah, dumb. A stupid thought. Hiro Yui was not a quitter, not the kind of guy who would give in to any sort of depression. I don't know if that's true about Hiro Yui. Is that an accurate reading of that character, Sean?
Hiro Yui doesn't experience emotions because it wouldn't be cool to experience emotions, so they don't let him.
Yes.
Yeah. My God, this
is really
fanfic,
long.
It just goes, and it goes, and it goes. And it seems to me that the main sort of conceit of this entire idea is that after the events of Gundam Wing, all of the Gundam boys go off to live very mundane lives, and for whatever reason, Duo Maxwell is just very fixated on the idea of sending Christmas presents to Hiro Yui, a character with whom he interacted preciously little over the course of the events of Gundam Wing and has, like, almost no real character relationship with whatsoever.
Okay, I know where we're picking this up. Sean, search in your thing for Beyond What I Had. There's going to be a paragraph starting with that. We're going to go to that. And the story has progressed to where he has found a Christmas party out in the town, and he did not expect Hiro to be there because he thought Hiro would be alone in his apartment, but he's not. He's out having a big Christmas party, and this is where they meet again, and seem like they're going to go back to their apartment to have sex. Let's find out if they do, Sean. You can start from here.
Beyond what I had expected to find, there was the bigger question. What had I wanted to find? It was the touch of Hiro's hand on the small of my back that brought me out of my own musings. He was laughing at his neighbors and obviously ushering me toward wherever his apartment was in all the chaos. How about we let the poor guy stow his gear before you all drag him off and stuff him with Christmas cookies? He teased, and I found myself moving across the hall under his guidance. His apartment was the Christmas Carol one. It was another tilt to my reality. He'd been saying something, but the tree in the corner of his living room with the tasteful white and crystal ornaments distracted me. Everything was so not what I had thought, that I guess I was just floundering a little bit. I couldn't help the hesitation in the doorway of his place as he tugged on my backpack. Hiro, I really should have called before just showing up like this. Maybe I should wait and come back later when you aren't, in the middle of something. He stopped and gave me a funny kind of cocked head look that reminded me of the yippy little dog. Duo, it's no big deal. It's an open party. Half the rest of the building will wander through at some point. Trust me, there's more than enough food for one more. I ducked my head and just couldn't quite lose the weird feeling of floundering. Yeah, but you don't need me here, I heard myself say, and felt the ache of the statement right in the center of my chest. There was a meaning there that went beyond a guy who dropped by unannounced. I don't think you could possibly understand the double meaning, but something made him stop and really look at me. He gave me a soft little smile, took my backpack away from me, and said, "Yeah, but maybe I want you here." I didn't know how to answer that, and then he was walking away into the depths of his apartment with my stuff, and I was kind of stuck anyway. I took the moment to look around and realized that the brightly wrapped packages under the tree were the ones I'd sent, carefully laid out, and damn, but there really were a lot of them. I turned away from the sight, embarrassed again, and found myself looking at the display on his front door. Everybody seemed to have decorated, like it was some sort of contest. Heroes was made up of tinsel and cards taped to the door, and it took me a moment to realize that a lot of them were ones I had sent him in years past. Though there were others, and I think that maybe said something that I would ponder on later. Hero was suddenly back from the other room, standing there with me looking at the cards. He tapped at one of the sillier ones and grinned. "I think that's my favorite," he said, and then he gave me that soft little smile again. "I'm glad you came." I decided in that moment to let go of my embarrassment and to just go with the flow. Maybe this hadn't been such a bad idea after all, just different. "Me too," I told him, and we went to find some cookies. The end.
Cookies, euphemism for sex. They're having sex.
That's these are two people that have the same names as the characters from Gundam Wing that do not register in any way. I think there's a real art in fanfic of if you want to have characters fuck that don't fuck in the TV show, you need to find a way to have it be a natural extension of the characterizations from the TV show in order to make the romantic interaction satisfying. This is not that.
No.
This is Heroes turned into some sort of suave, very gentle, very thoughtful young man who seems to also have... I like the implication that he's just kind of like sleeping around, or at least that's like Duo sees these other cards. That's like, some of them are my cards, but some of them aren't. And that's the thing I would have to ponder on later as this like direct like, oh fuck, like this isn't going to be some sort of, monogamous, true love kind of deal, but this is, Hero's got a very polyamorous attitude towards his life that Duo's gonna have to grapple with.
Sean, how does this story not end with Duo shedding a single tear by the Christmas tree and Hero coming up and wiping the tear away and then embracing him in a passionate kiss, right? Like, how does that not end? I feel very cheated.
It's just, this is like, like movies and the Hollywood movies in like the 40s and stuff where you couldn't have people have sex, so you just had them smoke afterwards, That's basically what they're doing when they're going to go find some cookies.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish them well. What did you think of this first one, Sean?
It's, again, like I said, with fanfic, it's a delicate line. I think you need to, for a proper fanfic, you really need to find a way to capture some of like the character of the original material while twisting it enough to be able to make your own story. And I'm disappointed at the Hero Yui, let's say. Like, this is not the Hero Yui that gets a birthday invitation and rips it in the girl's face and says he's going to kill her and then wipes a single tear from her cheek. Like, there's not enough of the, like, this dude is just, like, some sort of insane motherfucker that is just at the will of, like, the writers to try to make him superficially cool at any given moment. Like, he's too, like, sort of a person in a weird way at the end of this story, and I find that disappointing.
Yeah. Sean, would you like to see one more? It's shorter, and we're not going to do the whole thing from that same author. Because when we talk about characters, being in line, I want to see if you agree with their characterization of this character.
Okay, so I've opened that link, and I'm looking at a thing that says Christmas Fic 2007 Mr. Claus, and it starts with Mrs. Claus. Is this Gundam related?
It is, but I think that was supposed to say Mrs. Claus in both cases.
Okay.
I want you to start reading this.
Oh, okay. So this, because the way it's formatted looks like it's a letter, but it's not. It is just, the title is supposed to be Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
Okay. That was confusing to me. So do you want me to just start reading from the top?
Just start it, and we're going to be so confused so fast, I don't know how far we're going to get into this.
Okay. If there was ever a Mrs. Santa Claus, it would have to be Sally Poe. Okay, let's stop there.
Sean, who is Sally Poe? I do not remember this.
Sally Poe is the Earth, like she's on Earth. I think she's with like Wu Fei, but she's like basically like an older woman that like she's part of like a resistance or whatever, like an armed resistance, and she helps out some of the Gundam boys sometime. That is what I remember of Sally Poe. You know, like Gundam Wing, I don't have like a Gundam Wing Bible in front of me. I'm not in love with Gundam Wing, but that is my recollection of that character.
But you've seen it twice and I've seen it once. So
Yes.
That is, I will be honest, I looked up Sally Poe, I found a picture, and I realized I have absolutely no memory retention about this character. But apparently, if there ever was a Mrs. Santa Claus, it would have to be Sally Poe. Does that track?
If you're going to pick a character in Gundam Wing that is the most similar to some sort of Mrs. Santa Claus, it would be Sally Poe is the closest. She's like an older woman that helps look after all the kids. So it's like she's got a mother-esque quality. So there we go. It would have to be Sally Poe. Woman is just in love with the season. Her office is decorated to the nines from the day after Thanksgiving. I hate that. Don't you hate that when people just like Thanksgiving's over and it's just immediately let's get right to Christmas? Like there needs to be some sort of inter-holiday break period. This is me editorializing. This is not the story. Sorry.
I thought we were going to say, don't you hate that they've just got Thanksgiving in Gundam now, too? Like, what does that even mean? It's an American holiday. Like, Christmas, at least I can understand, because it's tied to a religion that would assumedly, like, survive past the death of nations. Thanksgiving is a thing we do in America for an extra federal holiday in November.
It's a very good point. You know, like I've already, my like sanity and sense of what Gundam Wing is has already deteriorated to the point that it didn't even stand out to me that Thanksgiving makes zero fucking sense. Okay. Her office is decorated to the nines from the day after Thanksgiving. And there are homemade treats brought into the office every day for the entire month of December. What office? She's a fucking like guerrilla fighter. Like, what office is she in? I teased her that she was probably solely responsible for raising the collective cholesterol level of the entire Preventer organization by 100 points in that 1 month alone. Of course, I usually did it around a mouthful of peanut brittle. I could generally stay away from the cookies and fudge, but my lord, the woman's homemade peanut brittle was to die for. I'm not normally much of one for the holidays myself, but I'm sure that's because I don't exactly have a ton of childhood reference points for it. When you're living on the streets, Christmas is pretty much just any other day. Though I'll admit panhandling is just a little bit easier that time of year.
Where'd that come from? What the fuck?
What character is this? Do you know?
I do not. I looked, I can't figure it out because there's no like clear, I don't know.
Because I'm trying to think of who would be the character that was panhandling when they were a kid. Is it maybe Troa, maybe?
Because I'm looking through this and I can't find anyone like saying this person's name to them. Like it's not Wu Fei because Wu Fei comes in later. It must be Duo. Okay, it's Duo again. Yeah, it's just Duo again.
It's just Duo again? Okay, so it's just Duo. So
that's not until over halfway down the page that someone says his name.
Fantastic. I guess Duo, I don't remember enough of his backstory to tell you whether or not that would be accurate, but it didn't jump out to me as like that would be Duo. So I assume that Sally and I are pretty well polar opposites on the whole holiday thing, because her childhood is also opposite from mine. I imagine she has a whole shitload of Christmas memories and traditions that she is drawing from.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, the voice really changed a little bit for that sentence. Not that I begrudge her that. It's actually sort of nice. A window into another kind of life for me. Gives me some hint of what things are supposed to be like for your average non-orphan type normal person. I like the pretty lights.
Stop. Your average non-orphan type normal person?
Well, that's a totally standard way to construct a sentence. You know, it's your average non-orphan type normal person.
Sean, I cannot wait for the new Gundam series, Mobile Suit Gundam, iron-blooded average non-orphan type normal persons.
Yes. It's just about people on Mars working in an office. You know, it's just got, you know, there's a little bit of an inter-office romance that gets a little steamy. But it's just, you know, an everyday in the life of an average non-orphan type normal person.
Yep.
I like the pretty lights and the nifty snowflake cutouts she puts on the windows. I like the sappy Christmas music, the tinsel, and yes, the peanut brittle. But most of all, I like the way the whole sugary, cliched, silly mess makes Sally grin like she was 5 years old. It's oddly contagious.
All right,
And
I think we can stop from there for now.
Okay.
There's a bunch of other stuff that happens. I don't think we need to finish this one. It's not that interesting. There's a bunch of like minor characters who come in. There's a character named Garrison I also do not remember from the show who winds up being a part of this. Yeah. And
I just scrolled down a little bit and saw the sentence, so the focus here is not on fucktard. So this is really written in 2007. Wow.
Wait, the word fucktard is in here?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's in here it's in here 4 times.
Yeah.
When I do the Control F.
So
what
it's
the
really,
hell?
This is a real blast from the past. 2007. That was a fucking thing.
It starts with a sentence where he says, "So you're preaching to the choir here, duo." Wu Fei grinned at me, and it made me stop and grin back. "Sorry," I said sheepishly, finally leaving the doorway to the office and going to lean against my desk where I could still see Wu Fei. The whole thing just pisses me off. But I know better than to email Garrison. He'll just question my spelling of the word fucktard and won't get my point at all. Yeah!
How did we get here? How is this, like, in the same voice? Like, what the hell? What's
Okay.
Also, how do you misspell fucktard?
Yeah, later on, they're saying, they're talking about someone being attention-starved. What else would make a person do something so openly rude? Wu Fei shrugged. I certainly don't understand the motivation. He had nothing to gain. I liked my fucktard explanation better, I grumbled. I liked my fucktard explanation better. Great sentence. But I suppose if you want to psychoanalyze him, there's probably some kind of frustrated artist thing going on there with that literary degree and... No, Hero interrupted. He's a fucktard. Now let's... No, I can't finish the sentence. No, Hero interrupted. He's a fucktard. Now let's go sign this sheet. And then I was thinking about ordering Sally some flowers.
What the fuck? Like, I'm imagining, this feels like, did this person not actually watch, like, the English dub of Gundam Wing and instead watch some weird fan sub version? You know,
Yes.
like, that feels like something that, like, they would put in to, like, you know, fuck with people and just, like, let's just put the most, like, ridiculous, offensive, fucking curse language possible.
Oh man, like the
while
old
translating the
Anime
show.
Labs Dragon Ball Z fan subs. There's some... I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to have someone clip it out, but there's some good ones that Vegeta would use. Sean, will you scroll down to the very bottom of the page and just read like the last 4 paragraphs, starting from Wu Fei and I.
Wu Fei and I exchanged a look, smiling helplessly at her wide grin and little blinking Christmas tree pin. Well, I guess people are just feeling the spirit this year, or something, I muttered, and Wu Fei only just managed to contain an eye roll. Yes, he said, stepping in smoothly. You've done a wonderful job, Sally. It should be a lot of fun. I don't know how to say that line because I feel like Wu Fei is always sarcastic, and I don't know if that's supposed to be sarcastic. Her grin widened. Why, thank you, Wu Fei, she said, and then turned to continue down the hall, juggling file folders and a coffee mug that said, Head Elf. After a few steps, she glanced back and her grin changed to a warm smile. And thanks for signing up, guys. But you know, I already decided I wasn't going to let one asshole ruin my holidays. I had to grin, but she was right all the way around. Anybody who would attempt to spoil somebody else's joy for no good reason really was just an asshole. And Sally Poe totally owned Christmas.
Sean, the goal of this is not to mock the entire, like, enterprise of fan fiction. I understand. Look, there's plenty of people who do fun fanfic online, and especially, if that's what gets your rocks off, more power to you. But... what are the circumstances that leads you to write a Sally Poe themed Christmas Gundam fanfic with the word fucktard featured 4 times? I guess that's where I question, like, the internet is just a weird place.
Yeah, and it's like, I just... How do you give Wu Fei what is supposed to be delivered, like, totally, like, earnestly, a line, "You've done a wonderful job, Sally, it should be a lot of fun." Like, can you imagine that character saying something just so, like, earnestly complimentary of another human being? There's just no sense of, like, authenticity to the takes on any of these characters.
Yeah.
How did this happen? Like, why?
I could use more. This guy had so many, Sean. There were a lot. These were the 2 that seemed funniest to me, and I think it paid off. But, yeah. I think that's it for now. Would you like to do a Gundam SEED Christmas fanfic with me?
I mean, Gundam SEED is a better TV show than Gundam Wing, so it would only extend then that a Gundam SEED fanfic would be better than a Gundam Wing fanfic.
Yes. This one is 11 pages long. We absolutely will not be reading the whole thing, but we're going to read at least to the second page because there is a line that I was a little unsure whether I wanted to do this whole exercise, and then I saw this line and I laughed so hard so long that I woke someone up, and then I realized we had to do this podcast. This was like at 3 a.m. yesterday. So, Sean, would you help me read Mayhem Under the Mistletoe, and maybe we can just alternate lines here because it's characters going back and forth?
Okay, sure.
All right. Why don't you start us off here with Mayhem Under the Mistletoe by Elven Girl 10 on fanfiction.net.
Okay. This presents an area of hazard, Rao commented.
What do you mean? Asked Andrew, looking up from the book he was reading. Rao said nothing, but merely pointed over to the double doors where Othran unknowingly stood unknowingly under some mistletoe. Andrew, now understanding Rao's point, nodded.
Let the chaos begin, he said, indicating Cogley.
Othran!
Oh, hey, Cogley. Othran smiled. Cogley ran up to him. Almost ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, I finally finished wrapping everyone's presents, including yours.
Oh, yeah. Yours is ready, too. Othran blushed, mentally kicking himself. He knew he'd forgotten something. Cogley smiled.
Othran, do you know what you're standing under?
Othran blinked and looked up, finally noticing the mistletoe. He looked back down at Cogley and smiled. Cogley leaned closer and closed her eyes. Othran leant down. Their lips were about to touch.
Othran!
What? Oh, hi, Mir.
Indeed, Mir Campbell had latched firmly onto Athran's neck. She smiled sardonically at Cogley, who glared back at her. Othran gulped. He was not in a good spot.
What are you doing here? Cogley spat.
Isn't it obvious?
You aren't Locus.
So?
Now, you two. This really isn't the time. It's almost Christmas. Othran laughed nervously, trying to avert the impending disaster.
Othran, came a chorus of voices belonging to that of Luna Maria and Marian Hawk. Athran sighed.
Now he's got a problem, said Andrew.
Indeed, Rao agreed, and he's trapped, too. I want to say every time the word two is used, it's T-O, and they always mean T-O-O, but that's,
Also, how are all these characters together? Like, Raul LaCruz was still fucking long dead at this point. Anyway, no way out of this one.
To be fair, was that ever actually a problem on Gundam SEED?
I mean, he never came back. I mean, he's like cloned.
Everyone else did.
Back, but he's a different character. No way out of this one. Not without a few scars, at least.
Athran, will you help me wrap Christmas presents? Asked Mayreen, lanching onto Athran's arm.
No, you'll help me, won't you, Othran? Luna Maria had clung onto his other arm. Othran felt like a teddy bear being fought over by two toddlers. That's very infantilizing.
It's infantilizing and a little weird when you're next to a bunch of girls who want to fuck you, but okay. He's coming with me, Mira insisted.
No, with me, Cogley announced.
At this rate, Athran won't last much longer, Rao muttered. Andrew nodded and was about to speak when a gunshot rang through the air, removing the mistletoe. The fighting stopped. Andrew and Rao looked at each other. Athran gave a sigh of relief and looked to find his savior. All he saw was the retreating figure of someone dressed as a reindeer.
Thank you, he yelled to the reindeer and bolted down the other hallway, the girls in hot pursuit.
I suppose that's one way to get out of that mess.
Yeah, but who do you suppose that reindeer was? Andrew winced as another gunshot rang out through the building.
No idea. Elven Girl 10 has a message at the end. Just who is the mistletoe sniping reindeer?
Let me. I want to read this. Let me read this a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Elven Girl 10 says, just who is the mistletoe sniping reindeer? That shall be revealed in a future chapter. As for next time, based off an Azumanga Daioh classic, Reindeer, Fact or Fiction?
All right. Well, who do you think the reindeer is, Sean?
Kira?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. It's very good character for him.
Yeah, I can't imagine who else it would be. Like, this is... just to, take a moment at the end of this first page to reflect. This is, so far, better than the Gundam Wing ones.
Yes.
This, is a very exaggerated version of the harem stuff that shows up around Othran in Gundam SEED and Gundam SEED Destiny. I'm not a big fan of Raul Cruz being here, even though he's dead, and was like a war-crazed monster in Gundam SEED, which necessitated his demise. Yeah.
And then there's these references to Azumanga Daioh. That's a harem anime, right?
No, Azumanga Daioh is a very good kind of classic comedy manga/anime. It's very good.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, okay, I was wrong. But this is, I guess they're trying to do Gundam SEED in the style of that. Okay. Well, fair enough. Sean, this is the next part. I'm wondering if we're going to get deep enough to find out who the reindeer was, but let's find out on page 2, Reindeer, Fact or Fiction.
I wonder what Santa's going to bring me this year, said Sheen, flopping on a nearby couch.
I asked for Athrun, Luna Maria sighed. Ray and Shin exchanged glances. Luna Maria was obsessed. They'd heard about the mistletoe incident.
Did you ask for anything, Ray? Asked Sheen, a childlike innocence in his eye.
Well, Ray began.
You still believe in Santa, Sheen? Hayne inquired, coming into the room. Wait, is that the guy who dies in 2 episodes in Sea Destiny? Is that
I think
who
so,
Haina
yeah.
is?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's who that character is. Don't you know that he's really your parents?
Sheen winced. Ray shook his head.
You're wrong, Haina.
I need to pause there. The joke about Sheen's parents, that killed me when I was reading this. That don't you know it's just your parents? Sheen winced. What a casual invocation of the darkest thing in Gundam SEED Destiny.
Yes, he's just sudden flash to bloodied, severed arms on the ground from the explosion that killed his parents.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean, go ahead. And is this
You're
a
wrong.
different Ray, by the way? Who is Ray?
Ray is Raul Lecruze's clone.
Right. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so which is why they can't coexist, which is why this is all fucking insane. It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, this is why it's insane, definitely, yeah.
You're wrong, Haina. Santa exists! Sheen exploded. Luna Maria looked at Ray, relief clear in her eyes. He was arguing to protect his childhood dream. At least Cogley wasn't here.
Prove it.
I heard him. Before the war, when I was an orb, my sister and I snuck downstairs really early and we heard the reindeer flying away.
You believe in reindeer too? Hein began laughing.
Actually, Ray started.
Uh-oh, I scrolled too far. What is it? Okay. Don't tell me you believe in them too, Ray.
I don't. Well, not Santa, but reindeer are real.
What? Hein stopped laughing. Luna Maria gave him a funny look.
It's true. They don't fly, but they still exist. They look like a cross between an elk and a moose.
I do not think that is an accurate description of a reindeer, but okay.
No.
Are you
They
sure?
just kind of look like mooses, honestly.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yes. Ask anyone.
Hein ran out of the room, determined to find out.
Arthur, do reindeer exist?
Yes. Why?
Arthur received no response. Haina had moved on.
Captain Talia, are reindeer real?
Yes, Haina, they are. You find them up north.
Chairman Durandal, is there such a thing as reindeer?
Indeed. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Hey, Othran, do you know if reindeer exist? Haina had to run to catch up to Othran.
Think so. Why?
Long story. Where are you going?
Shopping. I forgot Cogley's present.
Sucks to be you. Good luck.
Okay, so we have this whole sequence. Chairman Durandal entering here to be asked about Raider. Did they go to where is Chairman Durandal? Is he on the ship with them? I mean, he's dead, but it's okay. It's Gundam SEED. No one's ever dead. I really, the causality here is really messing with me. Also, why is someone so convinced reindeer are fake?
Some of these people are from colonies, I'm guessing, is what the joke is supposed to be, so they don't know about reindeer being actually real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Haina came back into the room where Ray, Shin, and Luna Maria were, tired and out of breath. He glared at the three of him. I think that means three of them.
Yeah. You may have won this round, but there will be another, he exclaimed before flopping on the couch beside Sheen, who shot a dirty look at him. Sheen got up and moved to the other couch.
What's wrong, Sheen? Luna Maria asked.
Luna, said Sheen in a quiet voice.
What?
Santa's real, right?
Okay, I don't think we were going to do more of this, but I need to know, why is Sheen Asuka, of all people, so invested in Santa being real?
Yeah, this is where, I feel like Sheen is not the guy who's, so childish that he still thinks that Santa's real. Sheen is, the asshole who knows that Santa isn't real, but is, determined to make sure that everybody else is, destroys the whole dream. He's just hey, you know that Santa's not real, right? And will go up to an 8-year-old kid and push it on them because, he's the asshole.
Yeah. Sean, skip ahead to chapter 5, because that's where we pick up with Sheen. The stuff in between is filler with holiday shopping.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on chapter 5.
All right. Why don't you be Sheen here for us?
Okay. Luna, Santa's real, right? Oh, because this is literally just picking up.
Yeah.
Sheen asked quietly. Luna looked up at Ray, who shrugged. Both were at a loss.
Well, Luna began.
I still can't believe that you think Santa's real, Hyna sighed. Grow up, Sheen. You're such a kid.
No, I'm not. Santa's real. At least believing in him is better than believing in the Great Pumpkin. Okay, random pop culture reference.
Irk. Hyna winced. Sheen had hit a sore spot. Ray and Luna both sighed. This argument was getting out of hand. Ray was just about to step in when the door opened.
Wait, does this mean that one of them did believe in the Great Pumpkin and that's why it's a sore spot?
I think it's that Hyna believes in the Great Pumpkin, which I'm going to very quickly just Google Hyna SEED Destiny and make sure that this is the character I'm thinking it is. Because it is. Okay, yes. So I'm not crazy. It is the guy who's around for like 2 episodes and gets killed, and he's in like a fake goof, and he gets killed almost immediately, and his like, silhouette is like spread across the sky, like it's like, oh no, Hyna. Like that is who that guy is. And he has more lines already in this fucking fanfic than he did in the actual show.
He does, and apparently he's really into the Great Pumpkin. Is he into the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special, or has the legend of the Great Pumpkin like evolved like it is in that Charlie Brown special, but in the context of SEED Destiny? The world building is confusing me here.
Well, I think it's like, there was that thing where there was like that weird like fossil thing found on the moon that was this sort of like whale-looking alien thing with wings that served as part of the inspiration for going out and further exploring in space. And I think the Great Pumpkin is like that. It's just this greater existence that exists that we must, try to evolve humanity into coordinators in order to attain a state unto the Great Pumpkin, a godlike being.
What are you arguing about? Asked Kagali. I can hear you all the way down the hallway.
Not that it matters, but Hyna says that Santa doesn't exist, Sheen snapped.
You think Santa's a fake? Kagali turned to face Hyna.
Yes, I do. Everyone over the age of 10 knows he's actually your parents.
He's real, Kagali argued. I've seen him.
You have? Asked Sheen, awe and jealousy mixed in his voice.
Indeed. Once as a little girl, I snuck downstairs and could see him stuffing my stocking. Oof.
Lucky.
Luna gave Ray a funny look. The representative of Orb believed in Santa Claus? Did her brother know? If he did he believe in Santa too?
You're both insane, Hyna concluded. Sheen and Kagali snapped. A string of insults came from the two of them. This
you
now counted.
fucktard!
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it
Exactly.
doesn't say that, but I feel like in the spirit of the season we have to add that in.
This now counted as a rare and unprecedented event. Sheen Asuka and Kagali Yula Atha were actually agreeing with each other.
The argument persisted for approximately 10 more minutes and showed no signs of ending. Ray and Luna left, mostly out of boredom. I understand. The arguments were wearing thin.
Guess I'll see you in the morning then, said Luna, turning to head to her room.
Luna, wait, said Ray, his voice somewhat wavering. Luna stopped. Ray hardly, if ever, used her nickname. She turned back around.
What is it?
Well, it's just I wanted to apologize for some of the things I've said to you and just say thanks for just being there for me and all.
Ray? Luna smiled softly and hugged him. This is a character interaction that would never happen. Ray smiled and returned the hug. You don't have to apologize. She glanced upward and grinned. Ray followed her gaze and blushed. They were standing under some mistletoe. Ray leaned down. Luna smiled and closed her eyes.
Bang!
Ray hugged Luna close so that only he was hit by the small bits of ceiling. They both turned around to see the retreating figure of a reindeer. They looked up. The mistletoe was gone. They looked at each other and began to laugh. The one thought remained on their minds. Who was that mistletoe snipping reindeer?
I think it's supposed to say sniping, but
It says snipping. I think it is better as the mistletoe snipping reindeer.
All right, chapter 6 is called Santa Waltfield's Coming to Town. That's pretty funny. That puts a smile on my face. But I want to move on. We're not going on from this shot until we find out who the reindeer is. I think we have to figure that out. Okay.
It's got to be Kira, right? Kira hasn't showed up yet.
Yeah. Let's go to chapter 7. This one has another reindeer moment, it looks like.
Okay. Mistletoe mayhem on Christmas morn.
Rao, wake up.
Rao reluctantly opened his eyes, only to meet the gaze of Andrew Waltfeld, now beardless, though still wearing the hat.
I think that's from chapter 6, which we skipped. Andrew, how'd you get out of there?
Dunno. I can't really remember.
What time is it?
9 a.m. on Christmas Day.
Rao shook his head and looked around. He was sitting against the wall of the front hall. Have I
been here all night? Vaguely, Rao tried to piece together last night's events. He remembered Andrew's cry for help and his attempt to contact Moo and Kira. The walkie-talkie had finally kicked the bucket, so cell phones were used instead. Okay, thanks.
What?
Apparently they have cell phones. There was a walkie-talkie that it didn't work, so they all have cell phones. They were going to try to remove Andrew's pillows, but Rao couldn't see where Andrew was from his angle on the roof. Rao was going to come down, and they would figure out what to do from there. Rao remembered hearing something and slipping as he came down the ladder, grabbing onto it just in time. Looking up to see what it was, Rao thought he saw a blinking red light, and that's when things started to get fuzzy.
I think so. I was found in the living room. I kind of remember a booming voice and then someone forcing me down the chimney. Do you think it could have been?
There's no way. I can't believe I'm saying this. But should we be checking the roof for sleigh tracks?
Might as well. I mean, Sheen and Kagli have been showing Haina Santa photos.
Bang!
Thus does the reindeer strike again.
Who?
Yes, pause.
Yes.
Thus does the reindeer strike again. Yes, make the Gundam OVA, Mobile Suit Gundam, Thus Does the Reindeer Strike Again,
yes.
Please. Yeah.
Who was denied this time?
Rao and Andrew looked around the corner to Dirka hugging Mir very tightly.
Who is that reindeer? Andrew asked rhetorically.
So now I'm imagining that this is like, I'm moving on from this chapter. I'm imagining that this is like anime, and instead of who's that Pokemon, it's who is that darn reindeer at the eye catch every break.
Yeah, I have to say, Jonathan, so far, this is a fucking masterpiece. This is amazing. Yeah. It's just like the idea of here's just every character from Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny who are just like alive. They're hanging out on a ship, I guess. Like maybe it's the Archangel, maybe it's one of the other ships from that show. And everyone's just horny for everyone else, and everyone just wants to make out under the mistletoe. But there's just a mysterious reindeer that is running around and shooting the mistletoe every time someone's going to get some. This is just brilliant.
Let's go to chapter 9, which starts with a dialogue between the writer Elven Girl and Izak.
Okay, I'll be Elven Girl. Well, I hate to admit it, but this fic is coming to a close. Yep, there are 3 chapters left, including this one.
It's about it.
Sorry about picking on you. I can't help it.
Yeah, you and your friend, name withheld, henceforth known as Aerith. Aerith,
of course.
I know what you two have planned for me.
Elven Girl looks away. I don't know what you're talking about. At any rate, I'm dedicating Sheen's adventure in the chapter to my friend, name withheld, henceforth known as Cloud. Cloud, because he inspired the dialogue, though his plans are far more elaborate.
I should say, if you couldn't tell from the general tenor of the whole thing, this was written in 2005.
Yes.
All right.
I could tell from being on the internet and everyone using Final Fantasy VII names is a very, early 2000s thing.
All right. This chapter is called Fun in the Snow.
All right, here's the plan, Sheen said, glancing at his teammates, Ray, Luna Maria, Stellar, I guess that's supposed to be Stella, Sting, and Azul, I think is what that's supposed to be. When Othrin and the others are looking, Sheen trailed off, checking to see if the said people were eavesdropping.
When Othrin and the others aren't looking, Sting began.
We sneak around back and ambush their fort with a giant snowball, Sheen grinned triumphantly.
Well, that makes sense. Owl, I do not know who this character is. He had just devised the same plan with Ray.
I think that he's one of those are the 2 boys that are with Stella in Gundam Seed Destiny.
Yes, this is Owl Nadir.
The name has changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who builds their fort at the bottom of the hill? Honestly, Luna sighed. They clearly aren't that good at land tactics.
What are they up to, Stella? Shin asked.
It looks like they're just talking. Oh, and a fight's broken out between Izak and Othran.
Perfect, then we strike now. Stellar, Sting, Ray, you guys come with me.
Why do I have to stay behind? Owie whined.
It's all right, Owl, you can go. I'll stay here with Luna, Ray smiled, giving a sidelong glance to Luna, who smiled back.
Really? Thanks, Ray. Owl ran happily out of the fort. Ray turned to Luna and held up some mistletoe.
This time we won't be interrupted.
Bang!
Not too far away, Gilbert and Talia were taking a... Is that Talia? Yeah, Talia. We're taking a walk. I should say that was that was not the author's mistake. She did spell it right. It's just small text. Gilbert and Talia were walking away, or were taking a walk. Neither of them spoke, each enjoying the other's silent company. It was almost always like this. Gilbert opened his mouth to say something.
Whap!
A snowball hit him square in the back of the head. He turned around to see who threw it. No one was there. Gilbert turned around to speak again. Again, the same thing happened. After the third time, and Talia letting out a small giggle, Gilbert sighed.
Talia, you can go on ahead.
All right, Gilbert. Is he going to kill all the kids?
That's how this should end.
Yeah.
I think he noticed us, Rao whispered to Andrew.
Indeed, Moo, you threw too soon.
Sorry, still, it is 3-on-1.
True enough. Get ready. He's about to return fire. So Rao, Moo, and Andrew are on their own snowball team. You know, in the weird reality of this fanfic, that does make sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Rao Lacruze and Mula Flaga, there's just nothing between those two characters that would prevent them from having fun snow-based hijinks at all. It's not as if one of them is a clone of the other that, despises him for being, the real son. And has driven him to madness and tried to destroy the entire, world out of spite of his own existence. That just definitely didn't happen.
Also, one of them killed the other brutally.
Yes.
All right.
I think this counts as the best snowman I have ever made. Cogley grinned, placing a scarf around the snowman's neck.
Really? This is my first, said Nicole.
Oh, he's alive too, I guess. Oh yeah, you didn't help with the ones outside Kira and Othrin's fort.
The snow guard?
Those are impressive. They didn't put a fucking big space there. That's still my line.
Sorry, Sean. You think so? I spent a good couple of hours. Cogley was interrupted by a large rumbling sound and turned around only to see a large snowball demolish her snow guards and a good portion of the fort, along with Kira, Othrin, and Dirka running for their lives. Wow. She looked up and saw Sheen standing there with Sting, Owl, and Stellar. Sheen noticed Cogley and bolted away.
Run while you still can, Sheen Asuka. Run while you still can.
This is getting dramatic. I think we gotta have to finish this one, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, Chapter 10. Oh, Chapter 10 doesn't have a fun title. What the hell? Oh, man.
Just getting real. This is like when you have an episode of an anime, but it's running over time so you don't have the opening animation at the beginning. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. All right. What happened to you guys? Asked Azrael, watching Gilbert, Andrew, Moo, and Rao wander inside covered in snow.
Just got into a little fight is all, said Andrew. All fun and games,
Yeah, it was fun until Rao decided to turn traitor, Moo snapped.
Then it was hilarious, Rao grinned, wiping the snow off his coat. No one noticed Dirka sneaking down the hall with an armful of Christmas lights.
What's he doing with those? The evening progressed quite normally and with little mishap. Dinner was well cooked this time, not takeout. Okay. Wait! What do they mean by takeout? Where are they? How do you get...
who's delivering takeout to the Archangel?
Is there Gundam DoorDash?
I mean, they do all have cell phones. This has now been established, so...
No one seemed to notice that one person would leave every now and then and come back at least half an hour later, somewhat more tired. Okay. After dinner, everyone meandered into a state of calm. Andrew, Rao, and Gilbert had started a game of Risk. Okay. You know what? If they have Risk, I can imagine those three characters playing Risk. While Ray
I would not want to play fucking Gilbert Durandal in a game of Risk. I feel like you'd lose.
While Ray, Dirka, Owl, and Luna settled down to play Scrabble, Shin and Stellar cuddled by the fireplace, while Moo and Murue watched the snow fall from the window. Finally, 11 o'clock was reached. 1 hour till midnight.
I have to say, it is a crime to not use her name Ramius, instead call her Murue, because it's that's an impossible name to try to pronounce, but that's Captain Ramius. And also, I'm very upset that we're going full on Sheen and Stella and not getting my Sheen and Luna Maria ship. This is fucked up.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
This
Sean.
is a legit ship. It's real. The actors are married in real life. They wouldn't have known this at the time because they weren't married when this was written, but still, you fucked up. Sheen and Luna Maria for life. Anyways, now would be a good time to set up the fireworks, suggested Kira, responding to their call, I'm guessing.
The word is CUEM. Initially, it looks like a dirty word. Yes. I think it's supposed to be call, but it's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just someone smacked the keyboard really hard and produced some word letters responding to their call. Azrael, Rao, and Moo got up to leave. Lacus smiled at Kira, who put his arm around her. Othrin went looking for Cogley, who was playing cards with Murdoch and Natarla. He gently tapped her on the shoulder and then brought her a little distance from the group.
What is it, Athrin?
Cogley, I realize I've kind of been a jerk to you lately.
Athrin, what are you talking about? I don't remember you being a jerk. Wishy-washy, maybe, but not a jerk.
Well, I mean, with Mayreen and Mir...
Exactly, you're being wishy-washy, Athrin. I can forgive that. You're worrying over nothing.
Coggley.
I love you, Athrun.
I love you too. Athrun pulled Coggley closer. So what if it wasn't midnight yet? Athrun looked up. He'd finally get to kiss Coggley under the mistletoe.
Bang!
Or maybe not.
Who the hell is that reindeer?
I thought I'd gotten them all, Andrew muttered. It had been his job to remove the mistletoe.
But I don't think he's the reindeer. It's saying that he's Andrew, and he's okay. They're getting rid of the mistletoe so the reindeer will stop shooting things. This feels dangerous. I feel like, what if the reindeer missed and just shot one of his friends in the head? I mean, it doesn't matter. Half these characters are dead anyway, but still.
How much fucking mistletoe did they hang up in the first place that this is such a problem? That this is like the 8th or 9th time that mistletoe has been shot mysteriously by a reindeer to prevent characters from being able to make out.
How much longer till midnight? Asriel asked. I'm freezing.
15 minutes, Mu replied. Are we all set up?
Yes, we should probably turn off the Christmas lights now, Rao nodded. Asriel threw the switch. Pitch darkness reigned for a few minutes until a bright light split the night. Once in a while, there's actually very good turns of phrase in this, and it's part of what is keeping me on my feet. Asriel, Mu, and Rao found themselves surrounded by the Gundams, each with a different Christmas light pattern.
So this is where everyone went.
Looks like we all had the same idea. I gotta say, if you were gonna do a Gundam Christmas special, that is what I would do. I would have the Gundams have Christmas lights.
Exactly. It was now 5 minutes till midnight. Athrun was once again being fought over in order to determine who was to receive the first kiss of the new year. Luna Maria had given up on that and now smiled happily in Ray's arms. Ugh. Fuck this ship. Luna Ray fucking sucks shit. What an awful ship. Mu had come back to be with Mura, Ramius, leaving Asriel and Rao to deal with the fireworks. Whether or not that was a good idea is debatable.
1 minute.
Athrun broke away from Mir and Mayreen and ran outside with Coggley. Others soon followed, eyes turned towards the sky.
They do a whole countdown, 10, 9, 8, Happy New Year.
The first fireworks shot up into the air, exploding into a shower of white sparkles. Athrun smiled at Coggley, who smiled back. They joined the other couples in the sharing the first kiss of the new year. This time, there was no gunshot. This time, there was no mistletoe. A new year had officially begun.
Now, Elven Girl, do you want to read her announcement here in your narrator voice?
And so it ends. Psych! There's still one chapter to go. The bonus chapter, where I reveal the answer to question that's been on everyone's mind. Yep. The identity of the mistletoe sniping reindeer.
All right. Let's find out, Sean. In bonus chapter, mistletoe sniping reindeer identity revealed.
All right.
You know, there's one thing that's still bothering me, said Heine as he handed the last bit of garland to Luna Maria.
And what's that?
Who that mistletoe sniping reindeer was.
Good point. We still haven't figured out the identity.
You guys talking about that reindeer? Asked Sheen. He's coming to see if he could help, Stella close behind.
Yeah. Are we letting the matter drop or what?
Actually, Dirka and Sting came up with a plan, said Stella.
This I gotta see, Heine grinned, stepping down from the stepladder and heading down the hall. Sheen and the others followed.
They soon found Dirka, Sting, and Owl setting up mistletoe over the door to the living room. The plan, as they explained it, was simple. 2 people, Athrun and Coggley, were going to attempt to kiss under the mistletoe. When the reindeer showed up, the others were going to jump him.
I've got a bad feeling about this, Luna Maria, suddenly in a Star Wars movie, sighed. Stella nodded in agreement. However, curiosity prying on their nerves, they went into the living room to watch the proceedings and were soon joined by everyone else.
Here goes nothing. Operation Identity Revelation is go.
Terrible name for an operation. Athrun and Coggley looked at each other awkwardly. This was going to be very difficult with such an audience watching. Athrun stiffly put his arms around Coggley, his cheeks a bright red. There was no need to go any further. A loud yell rang through the hallway, followed by a bullet that hit its mark.
Dirka, Sting, Owl, Sheen, and Heine took off after the retreating reindeer, Mu following with the video camera. They disappeared around the corner. There was a loud crash. They came back around the corner, Dirka proudly dragging the reindeer, Owl holding his head, Sting helping Sheen limp down the hall, Heine nursing a cut on his arm. Wow. Dirka stepped out in front of the audience. It was time, like something out of an old Scooby-Doo cartoon. This is 2 Gundam fanfics, 2 Gundam Christmas fanfics with Scooby-Doo references.
Yep.
Okay. Like something out of an old Scooby-Doo cartoon, Dirka whipped off the mask. Everyone gasped. It was...
Izak?
What? You're the reindeer?
Yes, I am the reindeer, and I've sworn to shoot down every piece of mistletoe I see.
But why? On all levels, why? I agree, on all levels, why?
I can't stand it. Out of everyone, I'm pretty much the only one who doesn't have a girlfriend. Zala's got Cogli, Dirka, you've got Murielia, and I don't have anyone.
So, since you can't be kissed under the mistletoe, no one can?
Exactly.
He's learned well, Rao smiled before Andrew elbowed him in the ribs. That's the best line of this whole thing.
Why the reindeer suit, then?
Had to hide my identity somehow.
Ah, cheer up, Dirka clapped his friend on the back. I'm sorry that this was bothering you. Look, I promise that we'll have you a girlfriend by Valentine's Day. Count on it.
Okay, I got two problems with this. One, Isaac, disappointing revelation. It should have been Kira. That's the intentional misdirect. Two, how does that not end with Dirka pulling him in for a hug and just making out with him right there? It's a fucking fanfic. No one got gay in this fanfic. I feel like I've been cheated.
Yeah, I would say overall, this was better than the Gundam Wing ones because there are, like, characters in this that, like, I mean, I don't know if they're, like, exactly like the characters from the TV show in any way, shape, or form, but they more closely resemble that than the Gundam Wing one, which was just nothing. But yeah, I like the premise of a mysterious reindeer that is shooting the fucking mistletoe. Someone tries to make out, but it does sort of take all the fun out of fanfics, which in this kind of fanfic is all about having all of your characters make out and realizing the ships that you want to realize, like Sheen and Luna Maria, the true ship of Gundam SEED Destiny, that this fucking piece of shit doesn't even give us.
I feel like, Sean, this is going to drive you to, like, write actual fanfic now.
I could.
You could, yeah. Sean, for our final one today, would you like to end? I did actually find the G Gundam Christmas Carol, the correct link for it. I have that, and I have a Gundam Wing Christmas Carol. Would you like to do a little of both, or all of one?
I'll go by what you want, because I haven't read these, so I don't know.
Okay. I am going to send you the link for I want to read at least the beginning of the Gundam Wing one, because I have to admit, this is the one that made me have the idea for this whole thing, because it made me laugh very hard in how stupid it is. Also, I will just give you right now, Hero Yui is spelled wrong through the entire thing. It is Hero, Herro, the entire time, and it is never not distracting.
Okay. So
Chapter 1, A Gundam Scrooge.
Okay. Do you want to switch off or just have me read it?
Just have you read it for this one.
Okay.
We'll switch off for the other one.
Snow fell upon the streets of the city. Children ran through the snow, crying out in joy. Their parents followed, smiling and talking about the holiday coming the following day. It was the best of holidays. It was Christmas. Everyone was enjoying this time of year, the time when family and friends came together, the time when people bought gifts for each other, the time when people held parties to celebrate the best of days. Yes, everyone was enjoying this time of year. Everyone. Except one. Hero Yui now sat in his apartment typing away at his laptop. Many people saw this as strange. It had been 2 years since the Great War, 1 year since the war with Marmia, and yet Hero worked as if a war was still going on. He was also trying to ignore the outside world. Hero never really liked Christmas. Maybe it was because he never understood the holiday, but who could if they were raised to be the perfect soldier?
Here, how about I do the dialogue here?
Okay,
Okay. A waste of time and money,
he muttered.
When people could be doing something useful like their jobs.
Hero became irritated as he thought more and more about the holiday.
Everyone is getting off work for Christmas,
he said.
Wu Fei and the other preventers are getting off. Lucrezia and Miliardo are getting off. I thought they were going to continue the getting off thing, and that would have made me laugh. Lucrezia and Miliardo are coming back from the terraforming project just to celebrate on their home planet. Even that darn woman is getting off from her peacekeeping ways to celebrate Christmas.
Well, the misogynistic bit to Hero Yui is a more realistic characterization than the other Gundam Wing ones we've seen.
So far, this is way closer to Hero Yui.
Yes, yeah. But at that mention, Hero stopped typing. He sat still for a moment, then looked up at the ceiling.
Relina.
He sighed. This is Hero Yui, yes! Just, all of his dialogue should just be him looking off into the middle distance and mumbling related to himself. Like, this person fucking gets it.
All right.
Do you want to keep on going?
Yeah, keep on going. This is good.
Okay. The name sent a chill up his spine, like nothing else did. He wouldn't admit it, but over the years he had fallen in love with the vice foreign minister. Her long hair, her strong will, her beautiful voice. He loved them all. But unfortunately, he couldn't tell her. This was because of 2 reasons. First, he thought telling her he loved her made him look weak. And there was the reason he would only tell a dead man. He was afraid she wouldn't feel the same way.
I think this
Suddenly,
gets it.
Yeah, this dude fucking gets Hiro Yui. Suddenly, his thoughts were interrupted when there was a knock on his door. He got up, walked to the door, and opened it. He was surprised. He now stood face to face with Relina.
Merry Christmas, Hiro.
Relina greeted.
Hello, Relina.
Hiro replied, making sure not to give the same greeting.
Why are you here? No, sorry. Why are you here? To visit.
Relina said.
And to give you this.
She then handed him a small white envelope with his name on it.
What is it?
Hiro asked.
An invitation, silly.
Relina said.
You're invited to my Christmas party.
Hiro raised an eyebrow.
Christmas party?
Hiro asked.
Yes.
Relina said.
This is very repetitive.
Yeah.
It's a private party. I'm holding it for you, the other Gundam pilots, and their loved ones. We'd love it if you could come.
A disgusted look came over Hiro's face as he turned away.
I can't come.
Relina looked shocked.
Why ever not?
She asked.
I'm busy.
Hiro said.
That can't be.
Relina argued.
Surely you don't have a job that makes you work on Christmas.
By this time, Relina had walked into Hiro's apartment, not letting him stop her. Then she saw the laptop.
Hiro Yui.
Relina scolded.
2 years since the Great War, 1 year since the war with Maramaya, just in case you'd forgotten,
Yeah.
and you still work like you're in a war. All of this is useless.
She then closed the laptop, shutting it down, which made Hiro very angry.
Hiro, you need to get on with your life. The wars are over. You don't need to live like this anymore. Don't you tell me how to live. And for one thing, I don't want to go to a stupid party, especially for it's celebrating such a stupid holiday. If you ask me, Christmas is a waste of time and money when people could be doing something useful. Instead, they get off work to be with their loved ones. It's stupid. Why, I'll kiss your brother before I go to a party for such a stupid holiday, let alone celebrate it.
For a moment, Relina was silent. Then a look of anger came over her face.
Fine, then. Stay here. Don't come to the party, or even celebrate Christmas. You can sulk in your bitterness for all I care.
She then stormed to the door, but as she opened it, she turned around and shouted,
And if you ask me, you're no different than Ebenezer Scrooge, who canonically exists in this universe.
She then ran out, slamming the door. For a moment, Hiro felt sorry for making Relina mad, but soon brushed it away. He then turned his laptop back on and continued typing. But his eyes kept wandering to the invitation. But he quickly looked back at his laptop. But, this is very repetitive, but curiosity got the better of him as he finally opened the envelope. Inside was a card. On the front was a beautiful Christmas tree. As he opened the card, he saw there was writing inside. It said, "Please come to Miss Relina Peacecroft's Thank You Gundam's Christmas Party." Thank You Gundam's Christmas Party.
Is that what we should call this episode, Sean?
Yes.
All right.
Further reading said that the party was on Christmas Day from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's a long fucking party. Holy shit. It's a fucking 13-hour long party. Relina, my God. It consisted of a Christmas breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It would also have games, music, and dancing. Now, Hiro tossed the invitation away and continued typing. Hiro worked late into the night until about 11:30. He then
That's not late.
Look, that's not late into the night at all. Who thinks that 11:30 is late into the night? He then shut down his laptop and took a shower. Afterward, he got on his pajamas and got into his bed. This is the idea.
Wait, how does Hiro Yui have pajamas? What the fuck?
Hiro Yui wearing pajamas is Hiro Yui wearing more clothing than he normally wears in his fucking shorts and tank top.
Yes.
But before he went to sleep, he mumbled. Jonathan?
Oh, sorry. Christmas. Bah.
He then went to sleep.
Okay, we need to do at least the next page, or some of it, because it's really funny.
Yeah, I've got to say, so far, I do think that they capture a lot of the characterization of Hiro here. I am disappointed that he didn't rip the Christmas invitation up in her face and tell her that he was going to kill her. But this is Hiro at the end of the series, so it makes sense he wouldn't do that.
At least not tell killer. I think he might still tear the thing up.
Yes.
Chapter 2. A Horrid Past.
He was asleep for about half an hour. But then, even though he was asleep, he could sense that someone was there. His eyes darted open. Your eyes don't dart open. That's not how you should use that verb. His eyes darted open to see a man he thought was dead. It was Dr. J.
Dr. J?
Hiro asked sleepily as he sat up.
Yes, Hiro, I have come to see you. But I thought you were dead. I am. I have come back from the dead to warn you. Warn me? Warn me of what? Warn you of your current future. For if it doesn't change, your fate will be the same as mine. Same as yours? What do you mean? All right, how about you be Dr. J for this?
Okay. Hiro, in my life I have done a great many sins. Because of this I have been condemned to the depths of hell for all eternity. You are also destined for this fate, unless you change.
Hiro gave the man a weird look. How do I know you aren't a dream? This is not a... Oh.
This is not a dream, Hiro. And I say the truth, you must change.
What must I do?
Tonight, you will be visited by 3 spirits. They will be the ones who will save you. The first spirit shall come when the clock strikes 1. Then Dr. J simply disappeared.
All right, so I just want to go through this and find out who the 3 ghosts are, because I feel like that's the value of a good Christmas Carol story, right?
Yes.
Okay, he slept for an hour. Then his digital clock, I like that they specified it's digital, struck 1. Suddenly there was a flash that woke Hiro up. He sat up and looked to his side. He then saw something that made him gasp. Floating beside him was the little girl he killed years ago. Holy shit, this got real, Sean.
Okay, yeah, so the ghost of Christmas past is a girl that he killed as his life as like an assassin in the colonies, I guess?
I guess so. All right. That's fine. Let's move on and see if we can find Ghost of Christmas Present. Chapter 3, A Tragic Present. Suddenly his living room was filled with light, and Hiro heard a familiar voice. Ha ha ha, come on out and know me better, man. They're just quoting Dickens at this point. Okay. Oh God, Hiro groaned. Not him. He then got out and walked into his living room. All the lights were lit up, all the furniture had been replaced by a long table. On it were the foods of a Christmas feast, and at the front of the table was the man Hiro dreaded, Duo Maxwell.
What? Is Duo dead? What? Did Duo die sometime in the intervening war?
I guess so. Yeah, it sounds like this is Duo. He's very cheerful. He loves Christmas. That seems to be the focus here. There's a bunch of stuff. Now let's find out who the Ghost of Christmas Present is.
A devastating future.
That's a good title. How about you read from here for us, Sean?
Yeah. Hiro looked around. The spirit was gone. He began to walk forward, then he heard footsteps in the snow behind him. He jumped, making a 180-degree turn. He now faced a black-robed figure, but after closer look, he could see the face of Wu Fei under the black hood.
Are you the ghost of Christmas yet to come?
As the spirit slowly nodded.
Then I am to go with you. Spirit, I fear and respect you more than any specter I have met tonight. Now, okay, this is lazy.
Yeah.
Now they're just using the Dickens. Fuck off with this. Come on. Make it Gundam-esque. Come on, right?
I appreciate that Wu Fei is the... I mean, it doesn't make any sense why he'd be the Ghost of Christmas future. I would have made it, oh god, what's his name? The guy who's like the main villain, but he's not really the villain. He dies. He's the rich fucker that Wu Fei fights, and he dies at the end of the movie, or at the end of the series, and he's in the tall geese at the end of the series. That's like the blue one. I cannot remember that dude's name at all.
Okay. Sean, if you want to skip to the final chapter here,
Okay.
I want to go to the end, and I'm just going to summarize some of this because it is so funny. Relina and Hiro, Hiro reforms, Relina and Hiro get together. Relina has 2 gifts for Hiro. No. Hiro has 2 gifts for Relina. First is that, no, you know what? We just have to read this, Sean. This is too good. If you scroll down to the part that starts with "Now I'll give you 2 gifts," it has a bold there. We need to read this.
Okay. Now I'll give you your 2 gifts. Relina made a wide smile at that. First, Hiro said, I give you this. Then Hiro wrapped his arm around Relina and pulled her into the most passionate kiss a man could give. The 2 could hear cheers behind them. When he let go of the kiss, Hiro stared into Relina's eyes, or starred as they say, but stared into Relina's eyes and said, I love you, Relina. I have since the day I met you. I can only hope that you love me too. Relina looked at Hiro and then made the biggest smile of her life. Oh, Hiro, of course I love you, she exclaimed. I've always loved you. Hiro smiled, knowing he was still not finished. Those were the 2 best presents I ever got in my life, Relina said. What do you mean? Hiro asked. That was only 1 gift. Relina looked confused. Then what's the other gift? She asked. Then Hiro surprised everyone when he got down on one knee and got a small black box out of his pocket. He then opened it to reveal a diamond ring. "Relina," Hiro said, "I can promise you now that I will love you for the rest of my life. So now I ask you this, Relina Peacecroft. Will you marry me?" Relina was silent in shock for a moment, then tears of joy began to flow down her face. "Yes!" she exclaimed. "Oh God, yes!" She then threw her arms around Hiro. Then Hiro made the biggest smile he had made in his life and also released a few stray tears.
Okay, time out. In one paragraph, we've had the phrase, made the biggest smile he had made in his life or in her life. Is that a normal expression? You made the biggest smile you ever made in your life? That is a weird way to say that.
It is a very weird way to say that. You are correct.
Yeah.
Then he looked at everyone else at the party. They were staring at them, silent in awe. "What are you all doing?" Hiro asked. "It's Christmas! Celebrate!" And with that, everyone cheered. The day went on just as planned. There were games, music, and even some dancing. And there was the Christmas breakfast and lunch. So are, like, the other Gundam boys here? Because apparently they're dead because they're the ghosts of Christmas fucking present and future.
I'm going to assume... So Duo and Wu-Fei are dead because they're the ghosts. I'm just going to assume the other two are here.
Yeah.
But not... Yeah.
Now everyone sat at a long table for the Christmas dinner. And at the front sat Hiro and Relina. Everyone became silent as Hiro stood up. "Hello, everyone," Hiro greeted. "Thank you for letting me join you in this celebration for the greatest of holidays, Gundam Day. I can imagine that it doesn't say that, but that's what it says in my head. I can imagine what you all have thought of me. Yesterday, Relina gave me an example. She called me Ebenezer Scrooge. Everyone laughed except Relina. She just blushed. I know I have been a horrible person for the past few years. What do you mean the past few years? When you were a child, you were a literal assassin here, Yui. I've been a horrible person for my entire life, is what he should have said. Hiro continued. But last night, 2 men and a young girl showed me that if I didn't change, a horrible future would follow. So now I've come with a happier soul and a thankful heart. So now I call a toast. Merry Christmas and God bless everyone. And so ends a Gundam Christmas carol. So, as Hiro Yui would say, Merry Christmas and God bless everyone. The end.
Do you like just repeating the final line twice?
Yes. So, I mean, this does directly basically say that Duo and Wu-Fei are dead. And this is just what it is. You know, we got only 3 of our Gundam boys that apparently might be at this Gundam Christmas party.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish with a little G Gundam. Get one more in here. This link should actually work this time. And we're just going to do the first page because it's stupid, but it makes me laugh. It's so horribly written, it's hard to see. But we will try to, I think let's just try to alternate between lines here.
Okay. How do we alternate between? It's like a wall of text almost.
Yeah, just roughly. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Master Asia was dead to begin with. Dead and buried. When Master was alive, he'd had an apprentice named Domon Kashu.
Domon walked down the street to his business, glaring angrily at everyone. He gave nothing the poor, starving people and ignored the needy ones who lined the street. The Neo-Japanese Gundam fighter had always been stingy and greedy. Had he? And on this cold December the 24th, he had no time for anyone. This was a very busy time for him.
As Domon entered the hangar where he kept his Gundam, he saw his new support crew member, ex-Neo-Danish Gundam fighter Hans Holgar.
Have you finished fixing the Gundam? Domon asked in a cold tone.
Well, almost, but our other associates would like it if you turned the heating on.
Yeah, we're freezing. We're dying, the ex-Neo-American support girls Shirley, Kath, Janet, and Bunny howled.
Well, then you're fired.
Never mind then.
At that exact moment, Domon's brother Kyoji walked in. The young man smiled cheerfully at Domon and walked towards him.
Merry Christmas, brother, Kyoji called out cheerfully.
Bah humbug, Domon responded.
Christmas is definitely not a humbug, brother, Kyoji scolded.
You and all the other happy Christmas-loving morons should be stomped beneath burning Gundam's foot, Domon replied flatly.
Kyoji just rolled his eyes.
Well, brother, you're welcome to come have dinner with me and, well, my friends, Kyoji offered. What does that mean? Well, my friend.
My friends, yeah. It's a weird way to phrase that. Domon sneered and was about to reply when all of a sudden, Wang Yunfa and a few other politicians from Neo-Hong Kong walked in, looking quite poor now.
Mr. Kashu, care to donate money to feed the starving people of Neo-Hong Kong? Wang asked.
What's wrong? Haven't you got soup kitchens and homeless shelters? Domon sneered.
Well, yes, but my colony's people would rather die than go there. Okay, that's a little different than the Dickens reference. I just want to be clear, but okay.
Well, if they're going to die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Yeah, hold on. What is being said here? Since, like, there exist, like, support structures like soup kitchens and homeless shelters, but people would rather die of starvation than to take advantage of soup kitchens and homeless shelters. Like, and that's not Domon saying that. That's the guy who's, trying to get money. What the fuck?
Because in the original Dickens, what that is it's the, like, asylums and the workhouses, which, like, makes sense. Yeah, you'd rather die, but a soup kitchen, like, that's just where you go to get soup. What the fuck? Okay. Let's see. Okay. As soon as Wong had left, Hans approached Domon.
Sir, I was wondering if I could take the day off tomorrow, it being Christmas and all.
Whatever, Domon sneered as he exited the building and began walking home. That's a very abridged version of the Dickens.
When Domon reached the door and was about to open it, Master Aisha's face suddenly appeared on the door knocker. Domon freaked out, but Master's head soon disappeared. Domon shook his head. It was over, and was all right, and all was right. However, Domon was weary. Oh, I was just...
No, go ahead.
Okay. However, Domon was wary, and he decided to his home. Or to his house. I don't know he decided to go to his house, I guess is what's trying to be said there. He turned on all the lights and looked around. He found nothing, so he sat down and began to eat his dinner. Instant ramen. Thank you for the little note there. All of a sudden, Master Asia appeared to his young pupil. Master was wrapped in chains and ropes.
Master, but you're dead. You can't be here.
Why do you doubt your senses, Domon?
Because you may just be rancid sushi. There's more gravy than the grave about you. Okay, this is lazy. You change the reference to the sushi thing, but then you still make the gravy joke. No. Do your fucking homework. This is lazy fanfic, and I will not have it.
Yeah, nobody puts gravy on sushi. This makes no sense. Master rolled his eyes and shook his chains. You will be haunted by 3 spirits tonight, my pupil.
No, please. I don't want to be haunted.
I don't want to be haunted. To be clear, it does say W-A-N-N-A. I don't want to be haunted.
Yes.
Too bad, whelp. Accept the first ghost tonight when the bells tolls... Expect the first ghost tonight when the bells tolls 1.
Domon went to bed, still shivering with fear. He lay down and tucked himself in and slipped into a dreamless sleep. Suddenly there was a bright light, and a tall, red-haired, violet-eyed figure appeared next to his bed in flowing robes and a crown of holly.
Greetings, Domon Kashu. I am the spirit of Christmas past. I can remember nearly 1900 years.
George?
No, I am no longer George de Sand. I am the spirit of Christmas past, George said.
All right, so it looks like George is the ghost of Christmas past. Chibbity Crockett is the ghost of Christmas present.
Okay.
Boy, this gets really weird. The end of the Chibbity section says, "Don't leave, you're the sexiest spirit of all. Please come live with me." Domon, this is 19th century England, not San Francisco, and I think you're sexy too, but now Argo gets to torment you with morals and stuff. No, Chibbity, Argo isn't sexy like you. Goodbye, Domon, Chibbity said, disappearing. Okay, so it gets gay and weird. That's something.
What the fuck? How do we get...
Yeah.
So it really just sort of descends into a lot of, like, big all caps and, like, 1,000 exclamation marks.
The real fanfic.
Yes.
Oh my god. This is it. We're done.
Yeah.
That was the Gundam Christmas party. Sean, I'm sorry.
What the fuck? If you found one of these, it would be like, oh, that's weird and kind of quirky that exists. The fact that there's, like, way more than we even looked at, apparently, in this episode. What the fucking shit, dude?
There were dozens. There were so many. I had a browser where I was just opening up links from Google, and I had like 30 tabs open, and I was tabbing through, and I was saving the ones I thought were like maybe good for the podcast, which meant funny. Sean, and that was like 3 Google pages I went through. There were thousands of results. There were so many of these, mostly Gundam Wing, some Gundam SEED, that one G Gundam one. There were no others. I feel like, I don't know how no one has written the Char Christmas Carol. That's the one you do. Obviously, it's Char. Lala is the ghost. This is not hard, people. Write the Char Christmas fanfic, but no one has. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I I feel like I don't understand the world. Like, it's like, I get that fanfic gets weird and can go into, like, obscure niche shit, but this is, like, a different level of, like, how is this... I get that this is something that, probably the people who wrote this were, like, 13 or whatever when they wrote it, right? Like, I was around the internet at this time, too, but it's just, there has to be something better you could do with your, like, shitty fanfic time than writing Gundam Wing Christmas carols and shit like that. It's just madness.
It is madness. And Sean, the goal of my Christmas special every year is to end with you saying I understand the world less, which I think is what happened after Pokemon Christmas, after our Evangelical Christmas Carol, and now after Gundam fanfic. I don't know what the next one will be, but I have a year to figure it out.
What the fuck?